I got the name Traps and Quads because I had trouble finding an Instagram name. I know that a lot of people tend to use their normal names. For me, it just happened to be that someone had the username Esther Ro. I've never worked out my traps in my life, and I have unusually bare traps for my body. It just came to me one day. I was driving and then it just kind of stuck.
My name is Esther Ro, and I'm an NPC Wellness Competitor. I graduated this spring, 2023, and now I'm in grad school getting an MBA with a finance emphasis. My second year of competing, I won some awards, and this past year, I won fitness, but I won by default, and I also won my wellness class.
During the time I was about 8 or 9, and I loved gymnastics, but I also did different things like skating and volleyball and whatnot.
Come on, S, you got it. Nice.
I absolutely loved gymnastics. It was probably my very first love, and I think with that, the structure of gymnastics will really help me fall in love with bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is very similar to gymnastics. I eventually competed in my first show, and at that point I was hooked. I think I will always have hesitations with bodybuilding, partially because it is a selfish sport. I did talk about this with my therapist, who is she's a very faithful woman. She did kind of tell me, like, this goes against your beliefs, like, how does it make sense? And I think if God doesn't allow something, it will not happen. And I think that's what I am trying to trust, is that there's a reason why I'm doing this. Initially, I always hated my body. Even in gymnastics, when you think of the Dorito bodies, like I felt like I had a Dorito body. And so I was one of those girls that just would go to the gym and just work out legs. But I still hated my upper body, and it wasn't until I started bodybuilding that I got into the content of other women who looked like me, that I started thinking to myself, like, wow, these women are beautiful. They're feminine and they look, graceful. I think for me, that's what made me really appreciate my body and really appreciate the people around me as well, too. Typically, at least for me, I've pretty much struggled with my relationship with food my entire life. To a certain extent, even with gymnastics, I had binging tendencies as well too. When you're on prep, it's a pretty intense fat loss phase, so you kind of lose being in tune with your body, because you're never hungry until maybe like the last couple of weeks, but you're not full.
And we are going to award the Women's Wellness Open Overall to...
I guess the hardest time that I've had with my eating disorder was probably last year during summer. I had just competed in Mother Load, and I won.
Competitor 126, Esther Ro!
And I did it, and I won novice, I won the overall novice, I won the overall, I won my class, and I had never dealt with a full-blown binge eating disorder prior, but I think the hardest point was me sitting beside my toilet, like on the verge of throwing up, because I had eaten so much. There was this one point where I feel a little bit like I just snapped, where I was like, you know what, screw this, like I'm just gonna eat everything. And I think that was hard for me. It was hard for me to go to the gym. It was hard for me to go out in public. But through this experience, I'm trusting that God is allowing me to go through this, to one day to be able to help other people through it too. when I had won the fitness division and being able to speak in front of everyone and saying that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There were a couple people that came up to me post-show. They were kind of telling me it's important to spread God's word, whatever it looks like. I have never really found balance in food, so I'm still currently going through it. Like I definitely still struggle every day where there's, some days when I work long and then I go home and I don't eat and then I just feel like eating everything. During times that I'm overwhelmed or, we're all overwhelmed with something, whether it's relational, it's, academics, career-wise. God is allowing us to go through this for a purpose. He doesn't let us suffer for nothing. There's a process in everything, and you don't have to be perfect, and you're going to make mistakes, and you have to learn that that's okay, and it's enough for the day. My name is Esther Ro, and everyone's got something to kill.